Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, I had to get rid of my old catchphrase, cash cow, the YTBC. I didn't like it. Okay, I didn't like it. It wasn't too good. So we're gonna go back to saying, hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. It just sounds better, and I'm used to saying it. So we'll go back to that. But massive news, breaking news in the boxing world. I had to make this video as I'm walking around patrolling the streets of South Florida. Amir Young Master Imam is back. He was lying in the weeds. He was a bit absent. He was in kind of he was in hush mode. He was in winter protection, but now he's back and drops a bomb as he has decided he's going to sign a promotional deal with Top Rank Boxing, Bob Arum, and the fine folks over there. So big news for Amir Imam. It's interesting because if we go back and if we could rewind time 4 years ago, this was a guy in Amir Imam that was looked at to be one of the most talented, promising, up-and-coming prospects in all of boxing. I mean, if you go back and you watch his fights against Yordenis Ugas, who now everybody talks about as this great fighter, but he outboxed Yordenis Ugas, and that was a great win for him. That performance, you had the Fidel Maldonado performance. He was just, when we talk about the wow factor, when we talk about boxer puncher, when we talk about fighters who we looked at and said, and you can say, man, this guy is going to go on to become the next dominant world champion. Amir Imam was a guy that a lot of people were pegging to be that guy, and luckily for me, I've had the honor to see Amir train in the gym. He was actually the first fighter I ever interviewed in boxing, so I have a special kind of connection to Amir. And he trained in South Florida, so I love Amir, and I follow his career really closely. But there hasn't really been much going on in his career. Obviously, we knew his career took a massive downward spiral, and quickly, because he was in line for that WBC world title shot. All he had to do was beat Adrian Granados, who at the time was just going to be a stay busy opponent for him. And he basically he lost that fight, was never the same, got stopped in late 2015 on the Lucien Bute James DeGale undercard. Then he had his fight with Jose Ramirez last March for the vacant WBC 140-pound title, and he wound up losing that. So it's just funny because now the reason I feel like he signed with Top Rank is because it's a known fact that Terence Crawford has almost no opponents at 147. I think Amir Imam has reached that stage of his career and his body as well, where he was already big enough for 140 in the first place, and getting down to 140 was always a challenge. But I feel like now with the time out the ring, he's had weight issues getting down to 140. I feel like the way for him to go, honestly, will be to compete at 147. And if he can compete at 147, if he could do well at 147, I could see him being a potential Terence Crawford opponent. Now, it's interesting because I remember as he was coming up through the ranks, I always thought that if Amir Imam ever put it together, like if he was ever able to put it together fully as a fighter, that he would be one of those guys that could potentially give Terence Crawford problems and beat Terence Crawford. I thought he had the size, the reach, the punching power, the boxing skills to really beat a Terence Crawford. But obviously, that didn't come. That really never came to fruition. That never played itself out because he lost to Granados, then lost to Ramirez. He never really captured a world title at 140 like many people thought he would. And that's just what it was. That's just what it was. But Amir is someone who I remember my last interaction with Amir, the last time I talked to Amir was, we briefly talked on Instagram. I was watching one of his older fights, and I was just giving him some encouragement, like, hey, champ, come back to the sport. Boxing needs you, kind of that type of thing. And I'm happy he's back, man, because he's an excellent fighter. And I know a lot of times when fighters lose and things don't go well for them, people write them off. But I wouldn't write off Amir Imam. I think if he's truly focused, if he's serious about making the weight, if he's serious about being focused and puts it all together, I think he can still be a fantastic fighter and do some great things in the sport of boxing. Now, the question I would probably ask is, who is his trainer going to be? I know that him and Stacey McKinley, because I know Stacey McKinley very well, and I've done interviews with him recently. I know that Stacey McKinley and him are not on good terms, so I don't think that he's going to be back with Stacey McKinley. So if it's not Stacey McKinley, then who is his trainer? That's something that I like to know. I like to know whether he's competing at 140, 147. Truthfully speaking, I think he should probably look to compete at 147, like I said, because he was always a big 140-pound fighter to begin with. And now with the time out the ring, and I know I know a couple things. Like, I know that he needs to probably go the 147 route, ease his way in, and look, if he could look good and win a couple of decent fights, he could be a Terence Crawford opponent sooner than you think, man. Because Terence Crawford does not have opponents, and this was always a fight. Like, Imam Crawford or Crawford Imam was always a fight that I was very interested in, because, you know, with Terence Crawford, one advantage that he has over a lot of fighters, or back then an advantage he had over a lot of fighters, much like Imam, was that he was a longer, rangier fighter. And I feel like if he was fighting a guy like Imam, he's a longer, rangier fighter who could actually match him from an athletic standpoint. Because Terence Crawford has fought fighters who are long and rangy, but he hasn't fought fighters who are long and rangy, who that are just as athletic as him, who have the kind of punching power to keep him honest. And that's the kind of matchup that if Amir Imam is at his best, he can present to Terence Crawford. Now, I'm not saying that I think he's going to beat Terence Crawford, but I'm not writing him off. I'm not writing him off. Amir Imam is a hell of a fighter. And the crazy thing about Amir Imam is I don't think we've ever truly seen the best of him. We've seen glimpses of what he could be, but never truly him in peak form. And it's not too late, man. You know, he can rebound and redeem himself, and I'm happy for him. So that's the news. Amir Imam signs a promotional deal with Top Rank. They're saying that he'll be returning to the ring later on this year. His first fight since the Jose Ramirez fight. And it's just great news for boxing, man, because Amir Imam is a hell of a fighter. I would say, if you would have asked me like 4 years ago, Brendan, who are some of the best young American boxing prospects out there, this guy would have been one of the first 3 names out of my mouth. I mean, he was so highly regarded by not just me. I mean, it's not just me saying this. He was highly regarded by many people in the sport of boxing. And now I'm not so sure what they're thinking about Imam. You know, I'm not sure where his mental state is right now. But what I do know is that motherfucker can fight. Amir Imam can fight his ass off. If he can't do nothing else, he can fight his ass off. He's got a great jab. He's got great boxing skills. He's super athletic. He's got an incredible one-punch knockout power if he lands the right way. So, yeah, man, I'm looking very forward to seeing what he does. I just hope for his sake that he does the right thing and campaigns at 147 at welterweight, because he's too damn big for 140. But this was just, I was just on Instagram, and I was just scrolling, and I saw that Amir Imam is now a top-ranked fighter. So we'll see what happens, man. Hopefully they keep him active. Hopefully he gets treated well. I know that in the past he's fought on top-ranked cards. Like, I know he fought on the Jose Ramirez Mike Reed undercard. I know he fought Jose Ramirez on in his title fight. So he always had a working relationship with top-ranked boxing. But now he's officially a top-ranked fighter. So the good thing is, I think they will try to. This is my opinion. I think they're going to try to prime him up for a Terence Crawford fight. But my thing is, he's not going to be the kind of, if his head is right, and I know it kind of sounds like I'm talking about Adrian Broner right now, because, you know, they always say with Broner, if he's focused, if he's this, he's that, he's going to win the fight. He's going to do this, he's going to do that. But like with Imam, if he really puts it together, like if he puts everything that Stacey McKinley taught him in the gym, all the things he's learned, all the talent he has, with his athleticism, with his range, with his size, with his punching power, he could become world champion. I'll say it right now, right here. I'll declare it in this video. If Amir Imam puts it all together, he could become world champion, and he could become everything people thought he was the first time around. So, big shout out to Amir Imam. This is probably the best news I could have gotten today as a boxing fan, because this is a guy that I had high hopes for, and I still do have high hopes for him as a fighter. So hopefully he still believes in himself, which I think he does. Otherwise he wouldn't be getting back into the sport. And I sincerely hope and wish nothing but the best for Amir Imam, because let me tell you guys this: when I first got into covering boxing, I mean, I've always loved boxing my whole life. It wasn't always my favorite sport, but I've always had a love for boxing my whole life. But when I first started covering it, Amir Imam was the first fighter I interviewed, and he always treated me well. He always treated me with respect and class and dignity. So for that, I always respected Amir, and I always wanted Amir to do well, and that has not changed. I still want Amir to do well. I still wish him the best, and I'm going to be covering all of his fights. So any news on Amir Imam will be covered here on this channel as it was before. Nothing's changed but the change, as the rappers would say. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Amir Imam is back in boxing. He's with Top Rank Boxing. You let me leave your comments down below about what you think about Amir Imam. Can he become that world champion that everybody thought he was going to become 3-4 years ago when he was knocking fools out left, right, and center, looking like the next Tommy Hearns on Showbox? You let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you take the time to subscribe. Like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Dang It. And by the way, big shout out to the fine folks at Fighting Mad, the kings, the pound for pound kings of boxing apparel. So there you have it. Take care.